This panel. I'm Simon Wilkins, this is Stuart Foley, and we are the Trekyards web show, and we have a panel.
I'm Jennifer Scheinman, creator of 32nd Bunny's Theater.
And I'm Dana Simpson, creator of Austin Millie and Phoebe and the Unicorn.
Now, I haven't heard of any of that. What is that stuff?
32nd Bunny's Theater is movies reenacted by bunnies in 30 seconds. I've been creating these reenactments since 2004. It's been ongoing. I've made over 86 reenactments of movies and one celebrity's life. I also do a webcomic called All Movies That Inform Accomplishment.
To say, Phoebe and the Unicorn is my current project. It's a strip that I do every day. It's syndicated by first request and you get in 200 newspapers worldwide. And there are some books in it. One of which has actually been on the New York Times bestseller list this year. My life is amazing now. But for a long time before that, I was a ridiculous web cartoonist. I used to do comic velocity Millie, started to choose boxes. One of them was a dragon to attend school and travel through couch cushion portals to pirate ships and, you know, whatever was in my brain. And that was one. I started doing that comic in 1998, so I consider myself one of the original webcomics artists.
I started with 32nd Bunnies in 2004, so ditto.
You guys have a clock on good months of the festival?
Yeah, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, no bad feedback.
I guess, what do you speak for?
Is this good? If I was supposed to microphone?
We are
Yeah.
Trekyards, and we're a weekly Star Trek web series on YouTube. We actually have 3 shows a week, but our big show's on Saturday, so we're the only weekly Star Trek content on the internet right now. Yeah. And it's not a podcast, it's a web series. We talk about ships, we do top 10 lists for Star Trek, and Samuel here does amazing graphics, makes the show look really nice.
So our key thing is that it's not just a podcast, it's a video documentary web series. We take designers, we just had a panel with Server, who designed Voyager and DS9. We take all those people, interview them, not just stuff we read in the manual or in a magazine. We go with new information, the information that I think that the fans really want to know, or to know they want to know until they tell them they want to know, and then they go, wow, it's amazing. And new pictures, new renders, so it's amazing finding old pictures from Faster and other magazines. And we just try and bring new information to the fans of all the designs of ships. Ships are amazing as a design and a thought process, but there's so many little nuances that, you know, if you don't record it, they might be lost forever. So it's nice to give them all justice, give them in, I think, 10 minutes or 5 minutes, or even, briefly as the fun for the sail ship was in, say, the episodes about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes of footage, even though it seems really impressive, so we do episodes and really flesh it out to make it a bit more. But I've got to ask on the panel. So, new media, which is sort of web presence, how has the web and the internet changed what we can all do?
Well, for me, I would say that having the internet was the main reason that I was able to make an 11-year full-time income earning living from 32nd Bunny's Theater. Otherwise, I was bringing other stories to pitch at like Cartoon Network and other studios, and there was a lot of middleman situations where there was a lot of time to wait and see what who's going to make what decisions. Often I wasn't talking to the decision maker, and I got to a point where I decided I really wanted to make content that is not work for hire, that I own the rights to, and at that time in 2004, it was people would just start to inundate the internet with entertainment content. At the time, I was working in an e-greetings company where we were churning out, Happy Kitten, hellos, and I was like, this, I want to own my work. So it was also a time when creators had started uploading their work via webcomics or animations and Mimes animation to community sites, and were able to get directly to the viewers. So in that way, when I made The Exorcist Bunnies, which was my first reenactment, the audience response is what propelled me to get the attention of corporations, which then commissioned licenses, and that's how I monetized 30-second Buddy's Theater over the course of like 11 years.
I think before the internet came along, there was no such thing really as an indie comic strip artist, because there was no way that you could do that and have an audience and anyone be aware that you were even there. The way you became a syndicated cartoonist before was you would draw stuff at home in isolation, maybe showing them to your friends, often for years, and sending them to syndicates and getting rejected and having to keep doing that, probably while working a day job, because there was no money at all in being an indie cartoonist. You just had to have faith that at some point it was going to stop being just a thing you did alone in your house that no one would ever see. And what the internet changed was everything in that way. We suddenly, I would never be here without the internet, even though what I do now is syndication. But the way that I got there was when I started trying to make comics, I put them online, and immediately I had an audience of about, first I think it was maybe 10 people, but that's 10 people giving me feedback. And 10 people who maybe tell some other people, okay, this is, see this kid, this is interesting what she's doing there. And so over time, like I've got more and more feedback and more of an audience. I don't think my ego would have let me just work in obscurity and show stuff to like my tiny circle of friends forever, but having stuff on the internet, I was able to keep going and keep learning and keep getting better and eventually wind up where it was I really wanted to go, and I probably internet all of that.
It's my turn. Well, without the internet, I definitely wouldn't be at Denver ComicCon this year. And
You're Canadian, aren't you?
That's true, man. And Trekyards wouldn't exist. The reason Trekyards exists is because a few years ago, I decided I'd start doing a YouTube channel. I built models. I thought I'd share my knowledge with other people. And once I started doing that, I thought, well, I'll show off my Star Trek collection, do some reviews, do some movie reviews. And I did a movie review for Star Trek 2, which Samuel saw, and we ended up contacting me and ended up creating this web series. We're now it's almost 2 years into Trekyards, and we're like at 150 episodes. So
with one character today, yes.
Yeah. So without the internet, I mean, we wouldn't have been invited to Denver ComicCon as guests. We wouldn't have been able to show our passion to the world. And so I think the internet, absolutely has changed the way that people can get their messages out there.
And I think we're a relatively fledgling series, and I think 2 years is still quite a short time. And we're a product of the new media age. The fact that if 5 years ago webcams would be so 240p and sound would be appalling. We're at such a point where anyone in their phone, my phone would be 4K video. Maybe no depth of field, maybe no high bit rate, but it's great resolution. And so all our times, every time we met anyone, Rich Stoneback, Andrew Probert, we said, okay, let's hope they have a good laptop and a good webcam. So if they don't, it's going to look not so good. They always did, and that was amazing. And a few years ago, it wouldn't have been possible. So I think we came at just the right time to make it happen. And obviously, I'm in the UK, you're in Canada. But we're meeting for the first time on this trip.
Yeah, we met a week ago for the first time, even though we've been doing this web series for 2 years. So
yeah.
The internet made that partnership happen.
And as a fan of the Star Trek franchise since I was 3, to be able to go to John Drexler's house and be invited as a friend with a friend, it was just ludicrous. And it's not only us connect with each other, but others, and make a fan base where they'll connect with us and talk to us, and build a fan base where Trek is not. It's coming back, but it hasn't been around. We started well before the musical show. We started before Girls came out.
Before in darkness.
Yeah, so we were the Trek new show web content that really brought a lot of people together, a lot of passion coming in, and that was important for the world.
But Samuel,
No.
after that, well, you got to answer your own question. You were a filmmaker before you contacted me. So tell us a little about how the internet helped you.
Well, I mean, I guess the ability to get softwares, to see tutorials, to build up your skills, to get inspiration.
He's modest. He's made the #1 Stargate fan film in the world on the internet.
That's true.
And he's not talking.
Okay, well, I'll mention that, I guess. Yeah, so I went to university of filmmaking, was made films for 10 years, and I have made films for 10 years. I think 11 years, I'm not sure. And I also started this amazing franchise, and my dad spent a bit too much money buying a lot of prop work, Stargate collectibles, props, costumes, sort of Raid Sons who were Stargate. Anyone know Stargate then? Any Stargate now? Okay. And the universe was wrapping up and it was the end. And I thought, well, I wanted to be part of this universe, I wanted to make something, I wanted to push myself. I was at university and they didn't push people, of course. But I was always passionate about making content. And so I wrote this story, wrote this film, Trekyards, years ago. And I used the kit at the university, the best stuff they had originally. Taught my way to do the best kit they had, the best green screen, everything. And just like I had the first trailer, which the film wasn't completed, I got contacted by a guy who worked on Universe, and he gave me screen caps and some video from the show to use to enhance my piece. And I wrote 2 new scenes, and the best 2 scenes in the movie is a great bit where my character is thinking about his loss, because his wife's about to she's pregnant, and that's quite an emotional thing. And he's sitting on the bench that looks out the FGL window, and originally it wasn't in the script, I thought I had this emotional beat, and the original guy gave me a still for the movie with the green screen. I was able to key that out, and the real FGL effect, and suddenly it was an amazing scene which really added to the film. And I could have made the film just for myself, show my friends, but I made a film that got a lot of press, that people from the show commented. I've actually played it. I currently had a UK Stargate convention where there were 3 Stargate people that were there, and the one US person came up to me afterwards and said, that was amazing. Didn't know how I did it. And David Stewart from from Atlantis did a great job. Although it's really old now, so this is good. But the internet wouldn't have made it possible, and so it's definitely good for us.
Well, I have a question about webcomics.
Yeah.
How far ahead is your story? Like you do it week by week, or do you have it planned out for months ahead of time, or how does it work? What's the creative process?
Well, in my case, it really depends on what my 4-year-old's up to. So I might start with the best of intentions and I'll write a bunch of updates. And then for me, it may take a period of time, anywhere from weeks. Sometimes I can update weekly. I've just gone back to doing that as far as production goes. And when I find time, which is generally in the evenings, I don't know how many of you are also doing a webcomic and have a full-time job. Yeah. So that time is precious, and so when you can get there and work on your stuff. When I was doing 30-Second Bunnies full-time, I stopped about a year ago to be at home with my 4-year-old. I was taking about 4 weeks to churn out an animated short for either broadcast or online. And that was from editing the story to production and output. So it can really vary. I think that if this webcomic was my bread and butter, I would actually have a situation where I was doing it for a 40-hour work week and do it a lot more regularly.
This has been one of the main differences between being, indie and being syndicated. Because when I was just doing Ozzy and Billy on my own rules on my own time, and the only reason I was there most days is I demanded that of myself. I would read frequently, I wouldn't be ahead at all. Like I would finish tomorrow's strip hopefully by midnight so I could post it, which sometimes not until 3 or 4 in the morning. Which seems very far away now because ever since I got married I keep my husband's normal hours, so I go to bed at 11. But also the syndicate demands that I be weeks ahead all the time. And I work on it in blocks of 1 week of strips at a time. It's usually a bit further out than that. And I have a much clearer idea of where I'm going, and everything's done long in advance, long enough to goes through rounds of editing and stuff. It was all very fly by the seat of your pants when I was online, and I honestly don't miss that.
Well, a big thing we're all creative, a lot of people are creative, we want to produce content, but there's a very, very big decision you've got to make at some point. Do you make that jump to full time? Do you take that financial leap? So at what point, and talk about how you felt that time, what was the real decision behind that, of when you turned from part-time to full-time committing?
When I was working on 30-Second Bunnies and I saw the response I got to the Exorcist Bunnies, I said, I'm totally making another one of these. So I did Shining, because I'm a horror fan and I love all things scary. So I felt like for what I was trying to do, the juxtaposition between the intense horror of the crab walk down the stairs in The Exorcist, and like a weird, unassuming bunny acting out the action, doing something horror related was what I should do. What I did was I went part-time at the job I was at. I said, and they let me do it. And I took that time to work on more reenactments. And I think I did about 5 of them. And at that point I was taking 2 weeks to do them because I was a young workaholic back then. And now I'm just an old workaholic.
But how did you feel to make that step into doing a part-time? I mean, how was that scary? Was that just rewarding? Was that just, you just enthused about the possibilities, so you just did it?
Yeah, I was in a financial position where I was able to do that for a period of time. So I had, like a cushion of perhaps 6 months where this is how many I could, and I sat down and thought about it, like how many of these could I make until I just can't afford to do it and I have to go back to full time. And then again, I had a company that was willing to let me do this. Fortunately, by the 4th or 5th one, I did get some corporate interest and was able to go to making them full time and leave the other job.
What was that like? To get full time, when you got that email or that phone call, what was going through your head?
Oh, I was totally stoked. And it also, there's time that was taken for the actual contract and terms to be worked out too, so that's always something to build in as far as, if you need some financing to get yourself from working on your stuff full time. It takes a long time to work out terms. When there's more people, there's more delay, so that was something to consider as well.
I told you I started doing my original webcomic Millie in 1998. Do you want to know the first year that I made enough money that I could have comfortably lived on it? 2014.
I was going to say last year. So.
Yeah, and that would have been a little thing. The way that it worked for me was, I was in college when I started. I didn't have to earn very much money just because I wasn't making anything on that. And then out of college, I was a reporter for a weekly newspaper for 2 years. And all I ever wanted to do was do a comic strip. I was convinced that I was only working until that worked out. And I was doing Ozzy and Millie like 5 days a week online while I was trying to be a reporter. Long story short, I got fired from being a reporter. And that was actually fine with me because I was 22 and trying to be a cartoonist, and also being a reporter was killing me. It was too much. It was too much stress and pressure. So then I got a temp job where I made $250 an hour more than I made as a reporter. And I did that for a while, and I was doing that and coming home and doing the strip and not really supporting myself very much. I was in California at the time and I ran out of money and had to go back home to Seattle. And that all seemed very depressing. Like, this isn't working out. I thought I'd sort of get syndicated by this point. Because by then I've been doing it for a couple of years. I don't know why I thought it would happen that fast, but I did. I was convinced. And so I was like, well, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm never going to be able to support myself doing this. I wound up living with my parents for a little while, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm going to grad school, so I went to grad school. And I didn't really want to be in grad school. I didn't like being in grad school very much. And this was obvious to everyone. So my boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, said, you obviously just want to draw comics. Why don't you move in with me and I'll support you while you make that work out? And I was like, that's the best thing anyone's ever said to me. And so I moved in with him, and for years it didn't matter. We got married a couple years after that. It didn't matter that I wasn't making very much money. I made maybe a few $1,000s a year during that period. I didn't have to make anything for us to have someplace to live and a car. And it was all right. And my whole career worked out because of that. If I had had to go on supporting myself up until 2 years ago, through all of that, I couldn't have done that. So really, this is the moral I try to avoid saying to my young fans when they ask me, but it's the truth. Marry somebody with a job.
For you, Stuart, I mean, you have a family, you have several kids, you have another job. What is it like to put time towards a Star Trek web series when you have so many other things you have obligations to do?
Sometimes it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, we usually get little bit ahead on scripts and stuff, but to do the research and to get the script laid out, it does take time. Like I said, I do have a full-time job and a family.
How many kids do you have?
I have 4 kids. Well, only 3 living at home now, so. But still, yeah, so it does get frustrating when I know I have to get something done, but at the same time, it's Star Trek. It's something I really enjoy doing, and hopefully, one day we'll be making enough money from it to make it a full-time gig.
How do you get Cindy all the time?
Joy.